So you can hear me right clearly, guys? Sandeep?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
who
Yes,
are
I
all
can.
there actually? Only you?
I'm only joining from here.
Okay. So how's the day?
Day is rainy day, as usual.
Okay, it's a rainy day as usual in Bombay. Okay, it's not so sunny day. It's unusual here. Great.
Okay.
Yeah. I also have my new joinees here, Manoj, Nilima, and Harini. Harini, yeah. So I'm really sorry that I totally forgot that we have a session today. So it came very
It's
late.
okay. It's okay.
So it's a Monday morning, right? So
Yeah.
it happens. So let's start. Hope you can
Okay.
see my screen, right? You can see me basically, right?
I can see you, yes, but not screen.
Yeah, I'll share my screen. I don't have anything to share though, but I'll share. Share my screen. Right, this is my schedule. Wow. Actually, this is a session hosted for someone called Sandeep. He has come from our sister consultant Exert. He has already experience in IAP and data power, etc. So he has come here to learn more about blockchain. Okay, so I thought it will be good for you also to have some introduction on it. Okay, so it's basically an introduction, but it will be a bit tough in high level for you, but still it's okay. It's knowledge. Okay, so that's why you're also asked to involve in it. Okay. Um, yeah, Sandeep, I think we had a talk sometime back, right? So you might be having some sort of introduction about what is a blockchain and everything, right? So I think for you guys also,
We made some program.
yeah. So let's get into this programming and everything. Let's just understand some terminologies that is in blockchain. Okay, I'll give you a very short introduction about what is a blockchain. Okay, in today's world, okay, there is no database or anything that exists that cannot be unaltered. Right? Any database for that matter, any relational database or big data, or any data, a guy with an access can change the data, right? An admin can change the data, right? The person who has access can change the data. So which means that there is no data that cannot be tampered, right? Because digital world works like that. Okay, everything is digital, which means that you can change the numbers. That you can change the 0 to 1 and 1 to 0, which means that it can be altered. There is no way you can uh, securely in a very when there is a untrusted parties involved, right? So when you and I are friends and we are working on a database, there is no need for that. Okay, but when I don't know you and you don't know me, and we need to make a business, there is a need for someone who takes care of that this data, whatever transaction we are making, that needs to be there, written somewhere properly, unaltered by anyone, right? That is called the immutable data. So data that cannot be altered. Okay, that's called immutable. Okay, so that kind of data till late it wasn't there. Till like before 10 years, there is no such thing. But now we have some technology called the blockchain. Okay, blockchain gives you that that immutable data. Okay, so how it does it does in a, it's a technique. Okay, it's not something they newly invented, no new hardwares or anything. It's basically a program only that ensures that no one can tamper it. Okay, so it's a technique in a way. It's a clearly a technique. How it is done, it's done in a very interesting way that we'll go through. Okay, so let's see what is. I have some topics that I need to cover today. Okay, let's go through that and we'll come back to that. Okay, later. Okay, the first thing, there is something called a shortcoming of current transaction systems. Okay, so we'll have to understand what is this transaction systems basically. Okay, um, it is like Sandeep, if you see any, since you worked on IAB, can you give me some examples that where and all the transaction comes into picture? Can you give me an example? What is a transaction, Sandeep?
No, I did little bit work, but I did work in data powers.
Okay, fine. So in a general
Okay,
topic, what is a transaction?
so the transaction is in banking, yeah, banking domain, yeah, and for banking domain, like in Yes Bank,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Yes Bank's clients sharing their funds with each other, transferring funds with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone want to transfer some amount to Yes Bank, then they are making a transaction. So the flow funds, we can say in terms of transaction.
Okay. Uh, 1 minute. I'll just check that whether I'm recording. Am I recording? Will I know whether I'm recording? Watch recording stop recording, which means that it's recording. Okay. Good. So what you said is right. Okay. In financial world, a transaction is something that is a transaction. Okay. Sandeep, there is a lot of noise coming from your side. Can you mute actually? So you can unmute when you speak.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so in a financial world, that is what the transaction is all about. Okay, let's say when I give you money and you are giving back some money, that's a transaction, right? That is the transaction we are aware of, basically. But that is not the only transaction that exists. Okay, in everywhere, every industry, okay, be it insurance, be it finance, or be it supply chain management. Okay, when two parties are involved, okay, if there is an exchange of anything, that is called a transaction. Okay, it could be money, it could be goods, it could be trust, or anything. Okay, so that is all transactional. Okay, so if it is if you think in terms of a supply chain management, okay, it's a huge chain, right? There is a farmer who produces something. Okay, that product comes to a broker. Okay, then the broker packs it, or who sells it to somebody. Okay, transports it to some cleaning process or some storage area, and then it goes to a corporate. Okay, there they pack it, label it, brand it, and then again it goes to a retailer or a distributor. Okay, and it comes to the market, and we buy it. Okay, so everything that happens in this whole chain, right, is a transaction. Okay, so I've sent you two lots of apples. Okay, it's a transaction. Okay, so you note it down saying that, okay, I received this many things today. Okay, on a given particular day. It's all time stamped. Okay, that is also necessary. Transaction is a time stamp also. So when it happened, what has happened, it's all transaction. So if you see in that terms, transaction is everywhere, right? Any business, transaction is there, right? So so that is basically the transaction. Okay, so what's the right now how the transaction is all maintained? It's all maintained in a ledgers. Okay, anybody MCA here? Okay, so anybody commerce? No. Okay. So ledger is a commerce terminology. If you're not aware of it, ledger is a notebook basically. Okay. So what they write is every transaction has a two things in it. There is a debit and credit. Okay, so when there is something transferred from person A to person B, two things happens. Okay, I have given money, you have received money. Okay, the both items will be written. So I will say that I have sent money 100 rupees to Manoj. Manoj will write down that I have received 100 rupees from Uma. Okay, so which ensures that two parties agreed for a transaction. Okay, if I have written I have sent 100 rupees to him and he has not written that thing in a transaction, which means the transaction is invalid. Okay, so ledger ensures that both parties agreed for a transaction. Okay, but the problem with existing current ledger is it is owned by one person, right? It's owned by either me or owned by him. Okay, so I will write that he received simply. Okay, end of the day, you will make a signature that I'll also write your signature. It's not a big deal, right?
It's not secured.
Yeah, it is definitely not secured. Okay, so the transaction or the ledger, it is centralized or it is controlled by somebody. So what is the problem now exist in the transaction world? It's controlled by someone. Okay, it's owned by someone who has the power. Okay, so if in the whole supply chain there is one big corporate in the middle, he will be owning the ledger, right? Only his ledger is what is going to speak outside world, right? Audit will come to him, he will read the ledger, and whatever data there is in the ledger, that is only will speak out, right? So a farmer cannot come and say, no, I sent like three lots of my good.
Yes.
No.
But he can also try to change that transaction.
How?
In between, some corporate will be there in two transactions. This is A, this is B. In between, some corporate will be handling this transaction. If A sends money to B, it's something like 1,000 rupees or something. But in between, the corporate can act as a support to A.
Yeah, he can. Okay, but usually he will not. Why? Because farmer has no money. There is no incentive involved for him to support A, right?
But there is a chance.
Chance, or if he's a relative or something, there is a chance. Okay.
But we want to.
That is what. See, either if he supports A or if he supports B, both are wrong, right? He should be. If there is a central party involved, there is a third person involved in it, okay, to maintain these ledgers or transactions, he has to be fair. Okay, he has to be honest. Okay, we trust him saying, okay, he will honest, he will not make any mistakes. We trust him.
But for A and B, the only way is to trust him.
Yeah. For example, let's say I have some money and you have some money. Okay. Yeah. If I want to transfer some money, what I'm doing, I'll log into my bank account. I'll do an NEFT or RTGS, and you receive the money, right? So whom I'm trusting here?
Bank.
I'm trusting the bank here. What I'm assuming here? That bank will not commit mistake. Yes. Right? We are trusting the bank, right? Yes. There is a trust on the bank because the bank has been established for many years and they are in the industry for many years. Okay. But that's not a guarantee. Tomorrow they will shut down. Okay, that is a possibility, right? Even if it is not, even if it is a 1% chance, but still that is there, right? The bank can shut down. So there is a not so trust. Okay, in India that is fine. Let's say you are doing a transaction to some money in some other country. Okay, and you are doing transaction via some other bank, some other world. How can you trust that bank? No? Right? You are transacting some money to some Cambodia, somebody person. How can you even believe that there is a bank that's bank there? Okay, you'll be given some website, you'll say, first bank that you cannot trust, right? You can trust your bank and your bank will have a tie-up with that bank, something like that. Okay, but those two guys have to first trust each other. Okay, the problem is the trust here. Okay, every transaction has a problem. So it is 11 to 9, 11 to 12:30, right? So good. So the problem here is the trust. Sandeep, in case if you have any doubt or something, you want to ask him something, just unmute and stop me anywhere. Okay? I assume it is.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll do.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so that is the problem we have right now in the transaction systems. Okay, so what are the problems we have? There is no trust. Okay, number one, and it is controlled by some party, some central party. Okay, there is he could be a broker or he could be a corporate. He could be the owner of the company or whatever it is, right? Yeah. it is definitely not secure because it's as good as person who handles it. Okay, so so it's that is the traditional way of doing ledgers. Okay, that is how all commerce till date everywhere it works that way only. Okay, go to any company, any manufacturing company, let's say Hyundai.
If there is assurance from government, definitely we need to trust, right?
How?
It's approved by government.
Government, what government does? Let's take one example. Okay, some manufacturing company, for example, some car company, okay, a bike company, Yamaha. Let's not take Yamaha. It's my bike. Let's take some other bike. Let's take Hero Honda. Okay, let's say Hero Honda has a factory here in Chennai. Okay, and he wants to assemble some parts, right? So they don't build everything from scratch here, right? They buy glass from somebody, they buy the doom from somebody, they buy the seat from somebody, and they assemble in one place and they put a brand label on it and they sell it, right? So this is what happens. So for a manufacturer of Hero Honda, he has at least some 10 to 12 or 20 to 25 different suppliers, right? Vendors basically. So he gives orders to everybody, right? Every month or every quarter, they will send a purchase order. Okay, they will send a purchase order. It's a slip only. Okay, manual purchase order. They will send it manually. Okay, so based on the purchase order will say this much goods I want. Okay, let's say I want a headlight. I'll say I want if I have planned to release some 1,000 bikes this year. Okay, so what I will say I will say like 1,000 or 1,010 based on some might go wrong, right? So I'll give a purchase order saying I want this many number of headlights to one of the vendor. Okay, so one of the vendor after saying the purchase order, he will say my production cost for this many headlights will be let's say 1 lakh rupees. Okay, he will send an invoice back. Okay, invoice you can send only. So there will be a negotiation also will happen. He will say it is 1 lakh is too much for me. Okay, I have another vendor who will gives me for 80,000 or something like that. Or he will say I've been doing business for last 10 years and suddenly you are costing me this much money, which is not fair. Okay, so that kind of things will happen, or they will simply agree. So invoice is fine. You will say, okay, send me the goods, I will approve it. Okay, once he sends the goods, so what these guys will not give money directly. Okay, because he is funded by some bank. Okay, Hero Honda to build all these things, he don't has money. They will not operate with a hard cash. They operate with a loan or a pre-approved loan from a bank. Okay, so bank will say to do this project, like how many 1,000 bikes we talk, right? So 2,000 bikes, they will say 1 crore rupees, they have approved a loan, for example. Okay, they will not give the 1 crore rupee on hand. Okay, they will only approve. So you have to give these invoices to the bank. Okay, so what this manufacturer will do, they will give this invoice, they will submit this invoice to the bank saying that, okay, I have received one of the invoice from my vendor and I need to pay money to him. Okay, bank, what they will do, they will either give the money to you or they will directly credit the money to the vendor. Okay, if he wants 1 lakh, okay, you received the invoice, you received the goods and you approved the transaction, which means that, okay, I'm going to send 1 lakh. Okay, what in real life, what happens, they will give the money to one of the manufacturer. For example, 1 lakh rupees come to the manufacturer. Okay, and they will not immediately give it to the vendor. They will hold it for 2 or 3 days. Actually, one of my friend was working for Hyundai. Okay, he used to do this. Okay, and the vendor is a small business, right? That light builder is a small business, SME. Okay, for him, immediate cash is required to do things. He doesn't work like a corporate. Okay, they need every week. They need money. They have to pay their wages to their laborers and everything, right? So they need immediate money. What they will do, they will come and ask for the vendor. I need money. I need money. Okay, he will say, yeah, money is approved. It's there in the bank. Accountant is looking, but money would have been come to manufacturer already. Okay, he will just delay for 3 years. Or sorry, 3 days. Just 3 days only. If you see, they will have 30 to 40 crores money in 3 days in your account. The interest for that itself, you will get it for in lakhs just by delaying it. Okay, So what this cooperation, there is a process involved. My accountant did not approve, the manager did not approve. These are all approves in right? He will say these kind of reasons to the vendor and they will push for some more days. Okay. But the vendor, no small vendor, he has to agree whatever he says. Right? There will be one guy sitting in as a face, right? So when he comes, he says, possible, it is in the accountant. You have to, he's still not approved for it. He has so much work today. He will definitely approve tomorrow. You come back tomorrow. Okay, so they have to wait for it, but which means that they are hiding some information. Okay, they're not doing something wrong or they're not giving, but something they're doing wrong, right? So how will that small business company will come to know that he has money already? They will never come to know only because he is telling that it is not yet come, it's still in the bank. Bank guys has not approved. Something they can say simply. So which means that there is no visibility between the parties that is involved in the their ledger. Okay, that is how the every transaction everywhere in the world still now works that way. Okay, this transaction is not into IT yet. Okay, some has come. Interoperability between banks is now fully digitalized. Okay, they do paperwork, but still most of the transaction done runs in a digitalized. But if you see the supply chain management or insurance company or healthcare information or any such industries, they still operate on papers. So this is how the whole operation works. So what is the problem? What happens is the delay. Okay, for one simple transaction, okay, which could have been done in a couple of days or 1 or 2 days, they take it for a month. Okay, 30 days, 20 days, like that. So what are the problems right now we have? They don't have trust.
There is no vision.
Okay, there is control by
There is no
somebody.
visibility between
Yeah,
the
so there is no clarity, right? So between the visibility between among the parties, and there is a huge processing time. Okay, so for a transaction to happen in a traditional way, so these many problems we have. There is no trust, there is no visibility, there is no security. It is controlled by someone. Okay, so trust and control by someone both are same, right? So you have to trust that fellow who is controlling them, right? And finally, there's the process time also involved. It's a huge process time that takes. Okay, let's say you want to send some goods from here to some other place in the north. Okay, that happens all the time, right? The whole country, all these Poti Sarvana stores, everything buys goods somewhere from the north, right? It's all comes from there. But to come from there to here, all these lorry drivers have to go through so many states. Every state has some rules and regulations, and they stop there for 3 days, 4 days. If you see all the borders, no, you can see vehicles stopping for a whole day or more than that. Okay, why it is happening? Because there is no proper communication between these guys, right? So these are the problem with the traditional way of doing transactions, right? So that is where the relevance of ledgers in IT comes. So what is the business of IT here? What IT can do? Information technology can IT can solve this problem? So that is the question. Okay. So relevance of IT is IT definitely can solve all this problem. Okay. Let's take one by one. Okay. Let's take trust. Okay. Don't write it anywhere. So fine. Let's take trust. There is no trust and it's not secure. Okay. Control, centralized power, right? Ownership. What else? There is another nice term for it, visibility.
Clarity.
Not the clarity. Let's keep it visible and we'll change it later. Okay.
There is no proper communication.
Yeah, there's no proper communication. That is where the visibility comes. So visibility means there can all communicate properly. Okay, all these things are there. There is no agreement also. between parties, right? So whether he agrees or not, he takes the decision one guy. Okay, there is not like everyone agrees to something. So one guy enforces his transaction on somebody. He says, I would have sent goods to you yesterday. Okay, and if I come today and ask for an payment, he will say I have not received goods yet. Right? So he will enforce that it is, or he would have sent me last week only, and he will say I received like 2 days back only. Okay, so you can say what is the proof that someone has, unless he signed somewhere. When you receive the good, you will sign that okay, I received the good. That actually that who delivers the if you get a parcel from Amazon, he gets a signature. Why? Because on that day they need a proof that he delivered on that day. Otherwise, what you will do? You will call Amazon saying that I have not received the package. Okay, that is why they need that proof that they have delivered it. Okay, they'll at least send you an SMS on the day that your package is delivered. If you are not responded on the day, which they will consider it as that is delivered. Okay, so that is an agreement that we have. Okay, so what they will do, they enforce you, right? The big guys. Okay, if you are a big power and you come, if a goods is delivered, you will say, man, I'm a big corporate. Okay, I will not do the signature. You deliver, I will give the money. You have to trust me. Otherwise, you will not make business. I have 1,000 vendors like you. I'll switch. Okay. So you have to run a business, you have to agree whatever he says, right? So there is no proper agreement between them. Okay. So there is a nice word for it that's called consensus. So let's change it to consensus. Consensus. Okay, that's called agreement. Okay. So let's see if IT can solve this problem. Okay. So first thing, there is no trust between people, right? So what can we do to bring trust among people?
In between, any corporate does not involve. So it could be in a direct transaction.
Yeah, how?
We can make new currencies.
That's for currency. That's only for currency. That's applicable for currency. What about other transactions? No? Let's apply swing, for example.
We can give a proper proof from like goods. It's taken from one party, one vendor. That time one proof should be handed over to the transportation. After transferring the goods, then that proof can be given to the company, receiver company. So it could be a clarity.
So basically, this proves all whatever you said, right? It's all can be manipulated. Okay, whatever proof I don't have to agree for proof. Okay, so the current world works like that. Okay, when I deliver some goods, whoever receives it's a signature. Okay, tomorrow I will come and say it is not my signature.
We can develop an application like GPS tracking the goods.
Right.
So the vendor can easily check the goods can be delivered or not. So
yeah, that's right. So that is one use case, or where you can track a good saying that it has come from my place A to place B. That is a proof. Okay, but the problem is that data information it is stored in some database, right? Who will own the database? A farmer will not own a database. Right? Let's say there is a farmer and there's a corporate. Okay, let's say I'm Patanjali. Okay, I'm buying all these things from you and I'm building packets and I'm selling to the world. Okay, you're just a small wheat seller to me and I make biscuits out of it. Okay, you will not even have a smartphone also, for example, right? So data is owned by me only. You can have IoT device, everything. Whenever your vehicle starts from his place to my place, you can record all these things. Our data comes to me. Okay, but what I can do, I still have the control or power to change the data. right? I have the power to manipulate data, right? Yeah, data anyway, all this data gonna get stored in a big data or a relational database somewhere, right? So the problem is the data is centralized, right? That data is owned by a party. Okay, so the solution for this problem is to have the decentralized data. Okay, so which means that you have to give away for farmer to own his data. Okay, so when you have some data, I also have some data. Both can show, okay, your data and my data is getting mismatched. So which means that someone has made a fraudulent transaction. If both of the transaction is not in matching, okay. So I will write in my notebook. When you do this in grocery stores, no? When you have account in grocery stores, in olden days we used to do. They will write that today I bought
If they
something.
did not pay money.
Usually we don't pay money immediately. Only we make payment in the end of the month. So what they do, they will give a book to you. Okay, you will write this thing and he will do a signature on it. Okay, so that is a ledger that is owned by you. Okay, and he doesn't own the data, but he trusts that you will not change the data anyway because he has a signature on it. Okay, but imagine he also owns the data, I also own the data. Okay, so because in some I know when I was working in another company, there was a tea shop behind our company. Okay, what employees used to do, they'll have a tea or they'll have a cigarette or something, they will write down in the note. There the data is owned by the shopkeeper only. Okay, so that is also wrong because shopkeeper, if he finds greedy, he will add money in it. Okay, so sometimes what happens, that account holding, right? They have a dedicated page for somebody, each employee. Okay, you'll have a phone number or name on top of it. What happens is they come in a group. Okay, friends. Okay, so I and you are friends. Okay, we are having tea regularly and you are writing. One day, what will I will not be there in the company. What you will do, you will take your friends and you will have all the tea and you will write down in my account. End of the day, what I'll think, I spent this much money and I'll pay.
Yeah.
Okay, so why it's happening? Because the data is not decentralized. It is centralized somewhere, and knowingly or unknowingly, the mistakes happen. So the best way to avoid this is to have decentralized data, right? So everyone should have a notebook, right? So when I buy a tea, I have to write it in my note, your note, your note, your note. Okay. Okay. Uma had one tea today. Write it down. You write the same thing. You write the same thing. You also write the same thing. Okay. Tomorrow you went had a tea and write down that Uma had a tea today, and that data is not available in three of us, which means that when we compare in the end of the month, we will say we'll figure out that this guy made a fraud, right?
Yes.
So that way, so this can be achieved by decentralization of the data. So which means that everybody wants to own a database, right? And all the data has to be replicated everywhere. Correct? So everyone should have the ownership of the data basically. So that is where the distributed computing comes into picture. Okay. So data when it is distributed, okay, which means that trust is established. Okay. When you say the IoT device, right? So that gives you the what happened information. Okay, but information for that information not to be altered, what you have to do is this device, okay, from where GPS device, wherever the vehicle started and where it stopped. Okay, this information from GPS you can acquire, but that data should be there with the corporate also. The data should be with the guy who gave the customer also. Okay, he should also have the data somewhere where he only has the access to it or to modify it or edit it, whatever it is. Okay. Or in case of transaction world, there is no need for a modification of data. Okay. Let's say I have sent 100 rupees to you. Okay, I've written some transaction. Okay. I gave 100 to Manoj. Okay. And you will write down that, yeah, I received 100 to Manoj. Okay. We write the transaction like that. But by mistake, I gave you 500 rupees more. Okay, so when I come back, so I've written the same thing in my note also, your note also, we both have decentralized data, but there is a mistake happened still. Okay, so what happens is you come back and saying that there is a correction. Okay, so you will give me 400 rupees back I received 400 rupees. So the data will only add. You will not edit the previous data. Okay, so that way we will know, okay, what happened previously. I gave you 100 and now there was a mistake. So for a correction, we both agreed and we exchanged. He gave 400 rupees back and I received 400 rupees. So data only keeps adding in a transaction history. Okay,
Suppose I bought 500 rupees from you instead of getting 100 rupees. But I didn't return the money of 400 rupees. But I neglect that transaction.
Yeah, that is okay. That is you and me. What I'm telling is you don't have to change the data. So if you neglect, that's it. I can't do because it's a mistake that I committed. Okay, a mistake I gave you 500.
So if suppose any mistake occurs, we cannot replace or.
That is a different kind of mistake. What I'm telling you is if some mistake happens and there is a need to change the data, even then you don't have to change the data. Okay. You have to add another transaction which saying that there is a change in your previous transaction. Okay, there's another history which says, okay, I went, so there was a mistake in the previous session. There is a correction transaction that happens. Okay, so that's how a transaction works. Okay, that's how a ledger works. You keep writing in the ledger. That's all. You will not modify a ledger. Okay, that is the idea. They give you 500. If you neglect it, nothing can be done about it. Okay, in real world also, in digital world also. Okay, because you have to be honest in that way. Okay, or you have to be careful when you give the money. Right?
Yeah, don't do it.
So that's something. Let's say if I'm doing the money via transaction or some BIM app or Paytm app something, in that case I can still sue you, right? I can go back, say I have a transaction history. Okay, so it's a mistake. Instead of 100, I give you 1,000 and we wrote down 100 here. We can still.
You can have an history.
Yeah, if we have some other data which proof, okay, let's say when I'm giving money, you have a video camera or something that says things like that is other way of dealing it. What I'm just telling is in a data, you don't have to modify. In a transaction history, there is no modification concept called the modification that is required. Okay, so which can be audited of what really happened. Why you gave me 400? Why I gave you 100? Things like that.
Yeah. And another one doubt: if we are finding solution for this transaction problem, so we are using that technology-based solution. In that, only corporate and IT people can only knowing that technology basis, but farmers cannot know current backend process.
Right.
So that is a disadvantage.
Yeah, that's a drawback. So that's what we are coming into. Okay, even still the data is owned by the corporate guys, right? Yeah. They can still manipulate the data, right? So that is where the immutability comes into the picture. Okay, what you said is absolutely right. Okay, it's not possible for everyone to own a computer or own a data or somewhere. Okay, so if data is owned by a corporate company will definitely change the data, modify data, something they will do. Okay, on whichever favors them, right? So does technology gives a solution for it? So that's where the immutable data, that's where the damn needs of a immutable data comes into picture, right? So let us say you own a data, okay? Though no matter you own a data, that data if cannot be altered by you, I can trust you, right? I don't need a copy, right?
Yes.
For example, you are writing down everything in a wall or on a stone, okay? Doing this, that cannot be altered, right?
Yeah.
In that case, I don't have to have a copy. Correct?
Correct.
So farmer need not to have a copy because you are sculpting it in a rock, right? You cannot simply change it. Either you have to replace the whole rock or blast it somewhere only. You cannot change it because it's hard sculptured somewhere. So that is where
he has to understand what he was writing.
Yeah, the farmer has to have that level of knowledge at least. Okay. So you can educate them saying that, okay, so if you think in a very low level, that is, they will come. So eventually they will, now everybody is using smartphone, right? Earlier they don't know what is phone only. When technology comes into picture, when everyone starts to use it, everyone will understand technology. They will understand, okay, so this one liner only, okay, blockchain gives you immutable data. You can understand, if farmers understands it, okay, there is some system, whatever we do, nobody can change it. Okay, so that is when the blockchain or immutable data is required. Okay, so which means that what are all the key solution for the problems we have right now?
Data can be created.
Decentralization of data and immutable data. Okay, there are two solutions for it. Basically, these are the two main solutions for it. And there is a problem in decentralized data also. Okay, let us say you have a copy and I have a copy. Okay, whose phone is it? Somebody's phone is ringing. Outside.
Outside, I think so.
It's not my phone also. Okay, so it's let's say there is a data that is being distributed. Okay, let's take in an enterprise level. Okay, don't think in terms of farmer or let's take in this, think in an enterprise level. Okay, we have some international, let's say you're buying goods from China. Okay, so China, there is a company that produces furnitures. Okay, and they export this furniture and to a shipping by a shipping company. Okay, and that there is an insurance company that is involved who ensures that your shipping goods are arrived and reached here safely. Okay, and there is two banks involved. There is a bank owned by the where the Chinese company has an account, and there is a bank where you have an account. Okay, so if you see here, there is two companies involved. Okay, and there is one shipping company involved. There is two banks involved. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 entities are there, right? So all these companies has to talk to each other. Okay, all these companies have to trust each other. Okay, so I'm in this case, what are transactions we are making? Okay, what if these transactions, okay, made visible, right? Let's say I'm building one system, okay, where whatever we talk, we spoke two things, right? Distributed and immutable data, right? Let us say, okay, we built a system, okay, where data cannot be changed, number one, and we also built a system where data is decentralized. Okay, for example, you also own your database, and he also owns his database, and all these banks also owns their database, and this insurance company also owns the database, and the shipping company also owns the database. Okay, and every whatever transaction that is you are posting, that is been distributed to everybody. Okay, similarly, whatever transaction bank guys post, that also distributed to everybody. Whatever transaction that the other guy, manufacturer posts, that also distributed. Let's say we built a system like that. Okay, so does that sounds that it solves the problem? Yes, right. So it sounds like it solves the problem, but actually in reality that doesn't solve the problem. Why? Because there is no agreement between the parties.
But the data will be there.
Data only will be there. There's no agreement.
But we build the system which cannot be modified.
Let's say you have sent money, okay, to that guy. Okay, you will give the money to the bank. Okay, bank will send that money to the other bank, and he will credit that money to that guy. Okay, let's put it this way: the Chinese guys are bad guys. Okay, we know it already. Okay, those two guys comes and say, and there is an insurance company, there is a shipping company also. Okay, so this information also, shipping company also receives the information. Okay, so whatever data you present, okay, I give money to this bank, you type into the system, and you have a copy, everyone has a copy. So the data goes. Okay, but these Chinese guys, right, these two guys, the bank and the fellow who receives it, okay, those guys are bad guys. Okay, what they can do, they can post an invalid transaction also.
Okay.
Okay, so they can control the network basically, right? They can jump in this distribution of data, they can block, right? Or they can simply send wrong transaction saying that I have not received the good on particular day, waiting for the good on the day, not received. You can write down something like that. Okay,
Yeah, they received and telling.
Yeah, they will say they will not receive the data only.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So it means that there is no agreement between parties. Okay. So you have data, he still owns his data, right? He's part of data. There will like 2-3 guys have to. There's some 2-3 guys who are all behaving bad. Okay, so there is no way you can establish. Even the data is distributed, even the data is immutable. Okay, the problem is some guys are disagreeing to it. What can we do about it? So only solution to this is a majority win now. Okay, so only thing is if there's a majority of party agrees to whatever transaction is happened, it is considered a valid transaction.
Yes.
Right? So how in a blockchain network works is we have these distributed ledgers everywhere. Okay, so whenever a transaction is posted to somebody, immediately this transaction will be distributed everywhere. Okay, so whenever it is distributed everywhere, okay, and immediately all the nodes who are distributed, they have to respond back saying, okay, I received the transaction. Immediately it has to happen. If it doesn't happen, okay, so it will keep on increasing the count. Okay, let's say 5-6 parties involved, right? So what is the majority here? More than 3 is majority, correct? If 6 members involved, more than 3 is majority. So in a blockchain network, 51% is majority. Okay, that is the concept. Okay, if 51% of nodes is agreed, which means that that data will go into blockchain. That is when the data will be written in ledger. Until then, it will not be written in ledger.
Until the response coming from the customer.
From the node.
Yeah.
Okay. So until then, otherwise it will not be agreed. Okay. Because
but it will wait for something.
There will be very smart delay only. The customer will not respond.
Yeah.
Okay, only the system will respond. Okay, someone posted a data. Okay, whether to write the data in ledger or not, that everyone has to agree. That's all. That is the consensus that is involved. Okay, because this consensus is actually an algorithm. Okay, it is not a manual consensus. It's not a manual agreement. Yeah, that is the technology. Okay, basically we will write the agreement that system will approve for it. Okay, so that is where the IT comes into picture. Okay, so now it is all manually done, right? When some data is received manually, someone has to go on approve, right? Let's say when I say I give you a document, I say let's say you're a bank and I'm giving my Aadhaar card to you. You have to go to the Aadhaar card and verify whether the card is. Now it is online. But earlier, what you do, there is a regulatory. They'll go verify your document whether your document is right or not, and then they will come back and they will approve whatever it is. If you want to open a bank account, that was the process earlier. Okay, they used to give you your address proof, ID proof, all this proof. Okay, they will validate it, and then only you will be able to open your account. Now, how much time it takes to open an account? 5 minutes they open. Earlier it was like weeks only, right? So that is the power of information technology. Information technology can bring out time in a drastic manner. Okay, there is a like everything is turns upside down. Okay, if you just watch like last 10 years what happened, if you see, there's so much technology that we can't even imagine that have changed. Okay, when you just drive, there is like from point A to from Shoringalur to we are traveling to Kelambakam. Okay, in that Shoringalur signal, if there is a signal, your map shows a red color in it, right? How they get the data? So precise data, right? It is not a vague data. If you see, there will be traffic. There will be some.
It will be updated.
Yeah, continuous upgrades. They have that much data that's across every street corners, right? So that is the power of technology. Okay, the IT can bring this change. Okay, so we figured out that the solution for this problem is distributed data and immutable data and
decentralized and distributed.
both are same. Okay, and what
agreement?
Yeah, so data that is agreed. Okay, so basically these things are required. Okay, so for a business transaction, this is fine. Okay, let's take one more scenario. Okay, the KYC document which I spoke right now. Okay, KYC is, you know what is KYC? KYC is know your customer. For any bank, if you go, or any bank or insurance company or anywhere, they ask for the address proof, ID proof. They're asking, no, that is called KYC documents. Okay, in everywhere. If you're getting an insurance and if you want to claim back, they will ask you some number of documents. That is called KYC document. You have to submit the KYC document, which means that know your customer document. Okay, so let's put KYC documents. Have anybody bought loan before? Personal loan or anything? Okay. You just finished your college, so
Yes.
educational loan you might have got, right? No? Okay. So what happens when you buy a loan is like when you buy a loan, you see there'll be a number of people standing in the gate giving the pamphlets. Well, I don't know whether you've noticed or there many places they'll keep on giving, sir. They keep on calling me regularly. I have a credit card, you want to buy, I have a loan, I'll give you one buy, things like that. They sell loan, they sell credit card, right? What happens is you agree for he will be some agent. Okay, I'll give you my example only. Okay, when I first started my career, I wanted to open an demat account. Okay, demat account is where you can buy and sell shares. Okay, so I had a bank account in ICICI, so I wanted a demat account in ICICI only. So I thought I'll buy a demat account in ICICI Direct. Okay, so I checked in the net. Somehow I called applied for it. Okay, somehow. Okay, what happened is one agent came. He came with all the forms and everything. He said, sir, you don't have to come anywhere. I will come to your office only, in the front of the office gate. You don't have to do anything. You just bring some 2 passports and I'll do all the other process. Okay, he came with all forms. Okay, and so I gave some 70 signatures on a single day only. Okay, and opening demat account is that complicated. Okay, yeah. Blindly I signed everywhere. Okay, whatever form he showed, I signed everywhere. I gave all the information, copy of my whatever proof he has. I had a Xerox. I bought the Xerox and I gave it to him. Okay. Since that day, right, I'm getting call like every 2 days from someone saying that I have a credit card. You want it? I am giving a lifetime free credit card. As if they're giving lifetime free credit only. Okay. Well, I don't understand the concept of free credit card. Anyway, I'll only have to pay no when I spend. So he sold my number to people, basically, my phone number. Okay, from that day, I'm getting call from every number. What happened? I've created an ID called Do Not Attend. Okay, so whenever I get this call, I keep on adding these numbers to the Do Not Attend. Okay, but still it is not. I'm getting new numbers every day. Okay, they keep on selling this. Okay, they sell whenever somebody's information is available. Okay, they see this person's identity. Right, my phone number is my identity. Okay, so they sell your identity to somebody because it's a potential identity. They know that you are working in an IT company. They know you are earning this much at least. Okay, so what he is capable of? He is capable of getting a personal loan of this much money. So you can sell loan to him. You can sell credit card to him. Okay, so they will identify these people. Okay, your identity is in stake. Okay, so they sell your information basically, but your information is very valuable, which you don't know, which we also don't know. I don't know how much money they made out of my selling my phone number. If only I knew it, I would have sold my phone number directly to him. Right?
Yeah.
At least I would have got some bucks, right? At least even 1,000 also, it's fine. It's okay, they call me every day. Anyway, I'm gonna cut that call only. Right? So he sold my phone number. So that way, so what we can do is, I wanted to give this to the bank. I went to an agent. That agent sold my identity. So what I could have done? I could have directly went to the bank, okay, or directly went to the ICC Direct's office there, and I would have submitted the form by myself only. Okay, I trusted some agent in the middleman. Okay, just for the sake of not being lazy, I trusted that guy. Okay, So problem is, my information, whatever I gave, he sold it. So what we can do about that?
Decentralized.
Centralized is danger. Only everyone knows my data. Like it's like I sold everything for free of customer. I cannot give my KYC to everybody, right?
So
Fine.
make decentralized.
It's decentralized only.
Yeah.
Decentralized, everyone having data.
Whenever we are giving our number to some other people, there should be some SMS or something.
Let's put it in a scenario which we discussed earlier, right? Let's say you are a bank and you are a bank, okay, and I am some customer and she is some customer, okay. You are requesting some document to me. We are all linked to each other for some reason, okay. You are requesting some document to me, okay, and I'm putting that document in the ledger. Okay, this is my document, take it. Okay, what happens is it is decentralized. Okay, that information now is with everyone, right? So everyone can see the information, everyone has access to that information. What she will do, she will take my document, right?
Yes.
She can make use of the document basically. Let's say I'm putting my 10th standard mark sheet there. Okay, they can just take that and get a job somewhere or something, right? They can just change the name and sell it somewhere. So my passport number, they change the photo and go somewhere. All these things, and how these terrorists come in, they use somebody's information only, right? So how they get this information? Because your identity is sold somewhere, okay? Yeah. Somewhere somebody steals your information. Your identity is a big valuable information, okay? Now the world is like that. You have to keep your identity very safe, okay? They will steal your Twitter account. What happened to this this lady recently, if you remember, that lady who comes in the radio, no? She puts all the information, some crap information only, all scam information, okay? Because her identity is sold. Sorry, somebody hacked it. If only she had a nice password or something, she's safe, right? So your identity is very information, very important. So on that name, let's say that guy who posted the scam, if he had posted with some other name, no one would have cared, right? He posted, used some celebrity's identity. That is why it has become very famous, okay? If you are not aware of it, it's okay only. It's not something thing which you really have to know, okay? So that is how things works, okay? So you have to keep safe your identity as and when you grow up like that. So what is the solution for it? When you cannot put an identity in a ledger, right?
You can directly go to the bank and clear the problem. Instead of going by agents.
Then why you have an infrastructure? Then there is no need of IT only. No? You're going back to the old traditional way. You want to do it sitting in your home, right? You want to do it in your phone, whatever it is. Let's put it in another. I'll give you some other example. Okay, let's say there is a supply chain management. Okay, you are a vendor and she is another vendor. Okay, I'm a manufacturer and she is on manufacturer. Okay, we both are all four guys are connected together for some reason. Okay, we all have business where we are linked together. Okay, and you both are supplying the same or producing the same component. Okay, for example, you are producing this phone cover. Okay, and you are selling it to me. Okay, I'm a manufacturer of the phone where I give this cover together as a phone, and she's also doing the same business. Okay, for somehow I pursued you, okay, to give me this cover for 200 rupees. Okay, to make business, I just say, okay, man, every year I'll give you an order of 1,000 phone cover. You give me for 200 rupees. Okay, it's a big business, so you agreed for it. Okay, but for her, she doesn't has that option. Okay, I did not negotiate it or something like that with her. she's still selling for 300 rupees. Okay, she doesn't knows that you are selling the same cover for 300 rupees to her, and you are selling it for 200 rupees to me. Okay, as a business it is fair, right? Because I'm giving big business.
Yes.
But if you post that information in ledger, and if she comes to know that you are selling same item for me for 200 rupees, she'll stop doing business with you, right? So what can we do about it? So decentralization data is a problem, no?
Yes.
It's a big problem. You cannot simply have data decentralized, right? So the solution for this, I think they're there only, right? The solution for this is the restricted access, actually. Restricted access to data.
Excuse me, sir. Let me take a short break.
I'm going to finish now. Yeah, we'll finish. Is that fine? If you immediately have to go, you can go. 12:30, I'll finish.
I'll go.
Yeah.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah, no problem.
Sir, you were saying data can be wrongly entered into the 2%. The 2% can be wrongly entered the data because you're giving money 100 rupees, they have entered 400. At that time, only 1% entered wrong. What can do, sir?
No, it's like it is like that. Then the transaction becomes invalid. Okay, the above transaction totally became, because you will say 400, I will say 100. That is not a valid transaction. Okay, you have to again another write down then a correct transaction. Okay, it's both given even there is a valid transaction, and still you need to modify the transaction. You need to have another transaction which says that as a continuation of the transaction that is there. Okay. Good. Tell me about yourself. I'm not much.
Myself, Harindishri, sir. I did my schoolings in Rotary Club Matriculation in High Secondary School, and I'm from Mailaturu.
Okay, let's just pause this for some time.